Go. Hey guys, thank you again for joining us for another exciting episode of YOML. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. So today we're on Reflection 309 and we want to talk about the secret life of groceries. So
It's this book called The Secret Life of Groceries, and the subtitle is The Dark Miracle of the American Supermarket by Benjamin Lorr. It's a journalistic expose into this grocery industry. He looks at where the food is sourced from, how it gets there, how they manage it, how some of the most popular grocery stores came to be, like what was the evolution of the grocery store in America. How did this you just go to the store? Do you ever think about that when you go to the grocery store? I think about it all the time these days. When you just walk into the grocery store and you're like, where would I get food if I didn't come here? Like, where would you get fruit if you didn't come there? You know,
that is something that I think about all the time because when I live in Seguin, there's no grocery, there's no Walmart, there's no, you can't go and buy something. When I was growing up in that city, I think the population was like 18,000. And so there is a supermarket called West. And sometimes you go to the grocery, there's nothing left. It's
plenty
completely
of food.
gone, right?
Yeah, right.
And so you think about, okay, I can't find this, I can't find that. So we go out, we have to go to the next big city, like San Antonio, to buy the lettuce and the salad and all those things that
You take for granted every single day.
we can't find it. And we have to drive far, and it's just one of those things where you don't think about it until you don't have it.
I mean,
I mean, that's exotic fruit.
right. How did I
Well,
get
how
a
do they grow
pineapple
that, right?
into Texas? How do they transport it? How do they get it here? How is it still fresh? I mean, we just read about Sam the Banana Man,
Mhm.
like transporting bananas, and then they genetically modify like crops to last longer and be able to store longer, and grains. Obviously, all the processed foods. I mean, like the omnivore's dilemma. We're going to be talking about that soon here. It's just like, I mean, the modern miracle of just going down each aisle of the supermarket and knowing you can basically eat whatever you want to eat whenever you want to eat it at any time. As long as you and the one of the saddest things I think happened to me. I want to say maybe about a year ago. The grocery store down the street for me, the area of town that I live in, like the pocket of Indianapolis I live in, it's called
Mhm.
Irvington. It's a nice little neighborhood, but it's like an inner city neighborhood that's also kind of detached from the downtown area. So we're only a couple miles away from downtown. So there's a decent gap in between, but it's only like a 10-minute drive to get to like our city center from where I live. And then in between my neighborhood and downtown, it's basically a piece of shit. Like you don't want to be in that area. Like there's no real bad areas in Indianapolis, but that's definitely an area that you don't want to be hanging out in at night when you don't know the area and you don't feel comfortable. You don't want to be there. Now, on the other side of me, to the east of me, and to the north of me, and to the south of me are
Mhm.
all similar areas like that. But Irvington is like a nice little pocket for maybe a 2 mile radius from certain borders of the city. Anyway, I share all this to say the grocery stores that surround us are it's kind of sketch sometimes when you walk in there. Like we don't live in the nice suburbs, where everything is beautiful. Sometimes I go into the suburb grocery stores and I'm like, man, they have it's so clean, it's so nice. They have everything. Everybody's so
Mhm.
nice and pleasant.
Right.
And then I come back to my Kroger that's like 3 minutes from my house or whatever. And you go in there and some days it's like, this is kind of, I
This.
mean, these are my people, and that's okay. The reason why I'm sharing this is because of that's where I live in the city. The resources that gets invested into that particular Kroger isn't near as much as it is in the donut surrounding suburbs.
Mhm.
It's not a bad Kroger. It's just not the greatest Kroger. It's probably
Right.
like just a little below average. Anyway, I share all this to say on very many times when you walk into this Kroger on what you would think would be kind of off hours, like I don't know, Sunday night at 9 o'clock or something like that. Like there'll
Mhm.
be a line, out like 30 people deep waiting to check out of even the self checkout, registers and stuff. They have like
Really?
because they don't staff it. They're like, we can't find staffing. Like, so I share all this to say, like, it fucking infuriates me when I walk into there and I think I'm like, it's Sunday night at 9 o'clock and I'm like, oh my God, we're out of milk or something like that for Luca for tomorrow morning. Just got to go run and grab some milk really fast. It shouldn't be that big a deal. Like, just run into the grocery store and grab it
Yeah.
and get out of there. And then you walk in, you're like, oh fuck, and then you got to sit there for like 20 minutes while you wait for everybody to go through and
Mhm.
So this happened to me this happens regularly. And as I'm walking through I finally get up to the checkout line, and there's one person that's working there, and I looked at them, and it looked like he was a manager or something. He had like, I don't know, it looked like he was a manager. You know what I mean? When you see like the manager of like a grocery store, like you can tell they look a little different, they dress a little different. And I was like, bro, why can't you guys do you not know when people come to your grocery store? Don't you have like analytics and all this stuff? Like, why is it every time that I come into this damn store, there's like a line, like, 900 people deep? And he's like, yeah, no, we know. And I'm like, okay, well, if you know, I was like, why aren't you solving this? And he was like, well, we tried, but it's just really hard to get people, it's the economy, man. People, like we just, they wanted more money than we're willing to pay them. And I'm like, wow, like you're telling me that nobody will work at your grocery store? Like, I mean, there's nobody in this world that'll work at your grocery store. He's like, no, we can't get anybody. Like, we can't get staffing. They offered him like 9 different alternatives, and I was like, why don't you jump on a register? Anyway, so after I said my piece and we had a discussion as I was checking out, we were, I don't know, chatting for, let's just say, 5 minutes. As I was walking out of the store, like I had that thought of exactly what we were talking about with this grocery store stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck am I talking about? Like, I'm bitching about waiting 20 minutes, down the street to get whatever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want it. And I have the nerve to go, can you make this faster, you pieces of shit? And this is no joke. I mean, I had this thought as I was walking out. I was like, what is wrong with me? But at the same time, I was like, we're clearly all staring at the same problem. We all know it. Like, I mean, are we really just going to pretend like this problem doesn't exist? Like, your lines are always insanely, everybody said, as soon as you walk into the store, every person, you can just see it. Like, it's almost hilarious. They should just have a videotape people that are coming into the store when they see the line and they're like, like almost every every person. It happens every time. But it's like we all see it. We're not retarded or something. It's like Jesus Christ. Fix it. Like, this is the American grocery store system, and it's pretty amazing, right? What was it like in Vietnam when you grew up? Do you remember it all?
I lived in some part of my life in the city, some part of it's in the country. So in the country, it's similar to what we experience here. Is you want to get something, you either grow it yourself or you trade with a neighbor, or you go to the market,
Right.
and you walk like half an hour or an hour to get there. In the city, it's like New York. You can just walk across the street and it's a bunch of people. Like, it depends on how concentrated the populations are. The more concentrated, then there are more services. Like you say 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. It doesn't equal to 2. It equals multitudes of, and then you add multiple people together.
Right.
So these services and values exponentially grow bigger and faster. So people tend to come together for that reason because they provide so much value. Versus on the other hand, like for you to go and get a pineapple, right? It will take you all day long to get a pineapple. So you're wasting a lot of time. So it's more of a luxury, and so you probably go to the grocery once in a while.
Right.
You don't go every day. In the city, it's like, hey, 5, 6, 7 times a day, and people just come to your house and, hey, I have these for sale. You want to buy it? They come by with their cart, a banana, and say, hey, I got banana from South America.
Eat it. Take
Fresh, right? But I need to sell them more today. It's on a 50% discount. You want to buy it?
That's what Sam the Banana Man did. That's how he started his trade. So he would,
really? Yeah.
He would, the bigger fruit companies, I forget what they called them. They were the bananas that were about ready to turn. They weren't fully turned yet, but they were like almost turned. But they were like perfectly ripe, basically, almost.
Yes.
And they just didn't have enough time to transport them via train to get them back up to New Orleans. And the demand was in the Northeast, and they didn't have enough time to get them on a train and get them up there. And by the time they got there, they'd been rotten. So they just were like, well, I don't know what to do with them. So Sam started to buy all these, like, whatever they call them. Let's just call them ripe bananas. He would buy these like fully ripe bananas when they would arrive, and would go like sell them. He would buy them for super cheap, and then he would go sell them for like, he would, I don't know, I don't remember what it was. He would buy them for like 5 cents, and he would turn them around for 10 cents or something like that,
right.
As people were like walking to the market or something, and he would flip bananas basically, so that's why he became known as Sam the Banana Man. That was how he got to start. And then he got really into bananas, and he started buying more and more of the production, and then he got into the actual, buying land. So
there's a company in China that makes billions of dollars doing those kind of things, where you have like almost ripened fruit, so they buy them like 10 cents on a dollar, and then they start selling it for like that day. So they're trying
Right.
to sell everything that day. Say, hey,
Yep.
like strawberries, cucumbers, whatever, all the
Yep.
grocery stuff. And they're
Exactly what he
making
did.
$1 billion in China right now.
That's exactly what he did. Like you go to our American grocery
So
stores,
that guy probably
the
read the Santa Banana Man book.
there was some, I think I saw like an Undercover Boss episode one time of Chiquita Banana founder. He, I may be conflating different stories together, but it was something along the lines of he bought, like when he was younger, bought a bunch of tomatoes or something like that just to buy tomatoes, and then he would go sell them. And then he made a little bit of extra money. He would buy more tomatoes and he would go sell them. Then he would go buy more tomatoes. And eventually, at a certain point in time, oh, I remember what it was. No, I think it was like a Darren Hardy story about. It's a real
Hmm.
story though. This guy needed an email address. He applied for a job and he couldn't get an email address. He didn't have an email address, and they were like, "Well, we can't give you a job if you don't have an email address." And he was like, I don't have an email address. I'm a poor dude. Like I don't have internet. Like I don't have. And they're like, well, I guess we can't give you a job. So he took like whatever money he had in his pocket. And he went to the grocery store and he bought tomatoes. And that was the story. He just kept turning tomatoes and turning tomatoes until eventually he started like a tomato empire or whatever. And then like it was all all
I
because
mean,
he didn't have
isn't
an email
that
address.
like the like commerce? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because it doesn't matter like whether you like a million years ago or today. You basically buy, some place lower and then you go sell higher. This is trading. Trading is probably the only thing that we do as far as humanity is concerned.
for sure.
And these are the billionaires,
Right.
right?
Yeah. I mean,
It's all the trading. You look at like clothing, food, whatever it is. I mean,
attention.
it's all based on this
Yeah.
flipping of values. Like, hey, I can give you this and give you that, right? You buy low and you sell high.
I have a reflection coming up that I just wrote, for the book Empire of Pain, which is about the owners of Purdue Pharma.
You over use your brain.
No, the Sackler family. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Sackler family, but like that was the aha moment I had when I was listening to that book about the Empire of Pain, about the Sackler family and
Mhm.
the Purdue Pharma that makes like OxyContin, right? And it's like the biggest businesses in the world traffic and unconscious addiction. If you ever thought about that, like the biggest businesses in the world, Cokes, Pepsi's, foods, drugs, gambling, you think of the largest businesses in the world, attention economy with social media,
Bread,
bread,
sugar.
sugar, yes, no, sugar.
Sugar is probably the biggest one.
Yeah, no, I mean, a thousand,
The sugar conglomerate is like probably bigger than the drug companies.
it's the epiphany that I had was like, if you want to make a shitload of money, go get into the unconscious addiction business, right? Like, because it's something that we're not going to stop. Like humans can't stop consuming stuff that they naturally
Right. So
are
like I say,
feeling to them.
with this information, just go buy sugar commodities.
Yeah,
All you gotta do is,
seriously.
I guarantee you, because the thing is, you have to understand, like, sugar is not just sugar, right? Sugar could be say, hey, food. Food could be restaurants, right?
Oh yeah.
So restaurant chain. So when you say, hey, there's sugar, where did it come from and where would it go? You
Right.
look at, hey, if a restaurant doesn't have menus have a lot of sugars in them, don't invest in them.
I
Just
agree.
invest in one that uses sugar because
I, I agree.
people wants this feeling. It's an unconscious addiction.
It
You're
is.
addicted to the sugar. You're addicted to the Coke, the Pepsi. You're
Yep.
addicted to the happy feeling that you attach it with that. It's like the Pavlov's dog, right? You
Yep.
ring the bell and he salivates because
Exactly.
we've been conditioned for that. It's like this is why Pepsi and Coke make so much money, and we keep drinking it. I mean, sometimes you think about it, what's in it?
That's just
Not much.
sugar and
It's just
carbonation.
sugar and flavor, right? But the thing is, even then, we don't really. You think like if you drink it without the carbonation, you wouldn't like it. So it isn't the flavor. It's a combination of those two plus the feeling that you get when you have it, and it's still one of those things where you conditions to feel happy.
Hmm.
And so to me, that's why Warren Buffett he buys the Coke, he buys the Pepsi, he buys these things has a moat on human society because it has humans addiction. It's the unconscious addictions, and I completely agree with what you say. Unconscious addiction is what makes these people billions and trillions of
Billions,
dollars.
billions and billions. I mean, the biggest businesses in the world are that is what it is, right? Like, I mean, that is exactly how they make their money. Now, my reflection that I was writing about, we'll talk about this in the future. It was more about the idea of conscious addiction, right? Is what we kind of focus on. I know we keep talking about like what's a good word, anti-addiction, whatever you want to call it. But
Mm,
unconscious addiction is preying on the masses. But we're trying to help you figure out what you consciously want to be addicted to and then go after that every single day, all day long,
right.
right? Like that's a whole different animal. You cannot, like that is not easily acquired. That is something you have to work hard at and figure out like through trial and error and blood, sweat, and tears, what you naturally are addicted to, but consciously understand that because it works both ways. Like you could be unconsciously addicted to, like Tiger Woods was unconsciously addicted to golf. I guarantee it, as he was growing up, like it was something that was just like tennis has been the same way for me my entire life. Like I will find myself just down a rabbit hole where I'm like, I am tired. I am thirsty. I have a headache. My foot hurts. My back hurts. My legs hurt. I'm still playing. It's 4 hours. I'm like, I can't stop. But that's the stuff that it kind of works both ways. But this is, understanding what you want to be addicted to and then funneling your attention into that. Like now I go, yeah, I know I can't stop, but I'm actually cool with that. I get why this is happening, and I'm saying I choose this versus the unconscious side of it all. So anyway, we're so far off the reflection. I haven't even done the reflection. So we're almost done with this conversation, time wise. We're having
But we are.
I know. Yeah, that's true. All right. So anyway, on to the actual reflection itself. This one was an interesting book. I mean, it really was. I learned a lot. They talked about the Burmese, I think it was the Burmese in this book, where like the shrimp farming trade. Do you know what I'm talking about? Of the shrimp farmers of the world. In one section, he dove into the seafood counter at Whole Foods, and it went into a deep dive into where a lot of the seafood comes from and the shrimp trade, and dove deep into how that's turned into some really crazy bad shit that happens with like fisheries in Southeast Asia and like indebted servitude, and these people are fleeing from like Burma, and then they throw them on these boats and they basically can't get off for like 20 years. You know what I'm talking about at all? Like, is this something you're familiar with? And also, it was even wilder to learn about like domestic shrimp. Like they've like shrimp that's raised on a in like a fishery. Like they're not the same kind of shrimp. They lose their eyeballs. They're like it's like pigs when they get put into pig farms and they eat the other fish's tails off. Like this is what happens. They like spin around and then all of a sudden their eyes just pop off. Like when they're stuck in these little. It was weird, man. Like some of the shit that we do to get these things to our supermarkets is pretty fucked. This is an interesting book. It was seriously kind of eye opening. I'll probably never really forget about it. The one thing that I remember the most from this whole entire book was the reflection title: "Study the source code, study the source material, not the competition." So this book actually kind of kicks it off with a dive into the history of the grocery store business, and it talks about things like 7-Eleven, which was actually, do you know why it's called 7-Eleven?
No.
It was open from 7 to 11. It was the first, I think, started in Texas, and it was like one of the first grocery stores that were open almost the whole day, right? And that was why. And anyway, one of the big deep dive exposés this guy does and goes into detail around is around Trader Joe's and the unique business model and how that came to be. The owner of that company, his name was Joe. Is it Colombo, whatever? Anyway, he's the Joe in Trader Joe's, right? So he was a really interesting character, and he was truly the sole. Did you ever shop at Trader Joe's?
Yep.
Okay. He was like the sole visionary of how that whole store came to be and why it's so different than a lot of other grocery store chains. And when the author asked him, where the idea of Trader Joe's came to be, I thought his answer was brilliant. He said, most people were busy studying the competition to inform their next move. And he goes, I was really busy studying the source material to guide my vision. He wasn't just like looking at what everything existed today and going, okay, how can I be a little different? He literally stopped and studied and thought about the entire grocery industry, the food world, what people want, what people don't want. Like he tried to, the reason why Trader Joe's is so unique and so different than everything else and why people like it a lot. Do you like shopping at Trader Joe's?
I do.
What do you like about it?
I guess they have food that you like more than the other ones, and it's more towards being like serving to the need versus just being like mass produced. Because a
Yep.
lot of time they have only a certain portions of certain things, but that's like really that batch, right? Versus, hey, there's a bunch of them, and you go in there and it's just a variety of different things, but they don't have a lot of stuff, right? Their stores are pretty small, and they only carry a variety of different things, but the things that you need.
There's a reason why. Like that's exactly why that model is.
Right.
Because he only had a limited amount of money, and he would study what people wanted. That was his method. That was his thought process. I want to find out exactly what you want, and then what my customers are consuming, and then I'm going to go buy only that and make sure that it's the best stuff. Like I know where I can go get this, and I can get it in a quantity, but it'll be limited, but it'll be exactly what I want. And that's why I want to go back there, right? Like that was exactly his vision. Trader Joe's is owned by Aldi's now, so it's not really a small company anymore. He sold it to Aldi's a long time ago.
I mean, it still has the vibe. Their products are pretty quality in a way. It's quality and it's unique.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it just have a different vibe. It has more of a natural vibe, like you're in the wild. Versus you going into Whole Foods. The Whole Foods qualities are up there as well, but Whole Food vibe is more like commercial and more like very. It's too neat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know exactly. Whole Foods, by the way, has changed so much and since Amazon bought it. Like, there's a whole lot of like of their own name brand stuff, and it's not all niche anymore. Like vegan, dairy free products. I mean, it's there's some pretty bullshit. It's just expensive shit. All it is expensive.
Yeah, I think Amazon just want to get their footing into the grocery business, and just instead of having to figure out the supply chains of grocery itself, we just buy something existing, and then now they're gonna stuff the food in their own branded products into the
that's
supply
exactly
chain.
What's happening. That's exactly what's happening. But I think you hit the nail on the head with Trader Joe's and what he was trying to do. But the reason why you feel like it's a natural vibe is because he spent a lot of time studying what a natural vibe was. He was not looking at his competition. He was not looking at some of the other things that other people were doing.
I think if you chase somebody, you're always going to be behind them, and you're going to be just like them. So if you look at competitions, then you're going to say, well, if he does it, I'll do it too. So you look exactly like your competition. There's no difference.
Exactly. I mean, you might be able to slip a little tiny difference.
People don't notice the nuances of the differences. They have to be vastly different. We say, hey, okay, that's different. That's completely not the same. Versus, hey, there's this tiny different twist. Well, you're gonna have to actually tell the customer that's the difference before they even notice it.
I mean, if I see Ford and a Chevy and a Ford driving down the street next to each other, like besides the logo, it might as well be the same damn car to me. I mean, except for like maybe a Mustang or something, where it's like very unique.
Only if you know what a Mustang looks like and you really know by heart that what it looks like. You put in a Mustang by next to a
Camaro,
Charger or whatever, a Camaro. He's like, can you tell which one's which, right? Only if you're a fanatic on one of those models, then you understand. Because as far as a Mustang is concerned, the only thing that I see as a Mustang is like the symbol of the emblem of the Mustang. Otherwise, if you take them off, I probably get confused. Okay.
I don't know if you've seen the new Mustangs, but yeah, it's even worse now.
Why they gotta ruin it?
Yeah. Look at this car. That looks like a Hyundai.
A Hyundai, right? Hyundai. Yeah.
It's not a Mustang.
It's not a Mustang.
Like the Mustang is like this is what I think of when I think of like a Mustang. Either a Mustang 5.0, like from like Vanilla Ice.
That I know of.
Yeah, Mustang 5.0, 19. That's what I want. This is what I remember from like Mustangs back when I was younger.
That's not even the Mustang I remember.
Well, then the 2000 Mustangs.
I probably remember 2000 Mustang.
These are the ones that I always remember.
Like say, if you take out the emblem, there's no way I can tell you that's a Mustang versus some other car. It could be a Nissan, a Hyundai, or a Datsun, or whatever.
Well, this was cool back in the day, when they were like actually like
muscle cars. Not the one I remember, but like I say, that's the car that would be a Mustang.
Yeah, well, honestly, true. I mean, like I think you just hit the nail on the head as to why the American car industry has been so basically for like 30 years. I mean, they're just.
I mean, you can you want a fucking BMW? Just buy some other car and just take up the emblem out and put it into the BMW, and no one can tell the difference.
Well, Mini Cooper is owned by BMW, and I have a Mini Cooper, and I used to have a BMW, and they drive the exact same, they feel the exact same, their seats are the exact same, everything's the exact same in the car because
It's,
they have
it,
that's how
yeah,
they do
it's
it.
exact same. I mean,
Right.
they say the same manufacturing plant.
Yeah, and the same body, the same chassis,
Same
raw material.
engine.
Right. I mean, there's just a little bit of cosmetic differences between the two, but like for the most
It's the
part, it's the
interior
same
that's
car.
different.
Not
Interior
even
is the
really. No,
different.
not even really. The buttons are the same. The way that things are structured is the same. The feel of the
Mhm.
steering wheel is the same. The seats are the same. It is literally the same car.
Components are the same, like your
Yeah.
speakers are the same, electronic
Mhm.
systems the same. So I don't
Yeah.
know. They have to. I mean, they're not going to say, well, I don't have this car manufacturing plant to build, another plant just to build a
Yeah.
BMW versus the Mini Cooper.
I have to say this because my wife just bought a Tesla. I took it over to my parents' house because we just got it, 3 weeks ago, and my parents were actually in Europe for the past 2 weeks. And we went over to go visit them for dinner on Saturday and seen them. We just wanted to hear about the trip, and we hadn't seen them for a couple of weeks. We brought over the new car because my dad hadn't seen it yet. My dad likes cars. I don't really give a shit about cars at all. So we drove my wife's car over there, the Model Y that we just got. And as soon as we pulled in the driveway, he was like, "Oh, cool, the Tesla's here. I want to check that out." So he just immediately hopped in and he was like, "Let's go drive." And I was like, "Okay, fine." So he starts driving around, and then within 5 minutes, we're out on a pretty open stretch of road, and he's just flooring it. And that car goes, I don't know if you've ever driven a Tesla before, but they go fast. I mean,
The
60.
electric has torque.
It feels like your stomach is going back, and you can feel it where you just go back.
Yeah, I mean, that's nothing new. It's electric. I mean, you
Yep.
think about the gas, right? The gas, you have to really make the combustion really, really pump it and then busting
Fire.
out
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
before the
yeah.
thing start to pump.
Right, right.
Electric is it's
It
instant.
just
Like the
goes.
torque, it's
Yeah.
instant, right?
Yep. Yep.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's pros and cons in terms of cars that you have. Electric,
For sure.
it's one of those things where it has that advantage from the get-go. The torque is one of those things that electric is good at. It has good torque and it's immediate. It doesn't have to wait for anything. The gas, you're gonna have to actually like
Even the
you have
fastest car in the world
because
still
you're
ain't
gonna
go as
have to
fast.
spray. You have to spray this gasoline into the chamber. You have to ignite it, and you have to let it
Right.
explode and start to push the piston, right?
Yep. Like these cars.
By the time your wheels start turning, Tesla's the electric cars are
Absolutely.
halfway.
It is wild how different it is. Like to the point in time where you have to relearn how to drive. When you drive a gas powered car, you hit the gas and you hit the brake. You hit the gas, you hit the brake. And when you want to slow down, when you let off the gas, you still keep going. Like you might slow down just a little bit, but you still keep
Right.
going. Like these fucking electric, like this Tesla. I don't know if you've ever driven one, but it's like as soon as you let off the gas, the car just stops. Like you don't use the brake ever. Like you could go 200,000 miles without having to change your brake pads because you barely ever engage the brakes that often because your car, like even when you're stopped at a light, like you just keep your foot off the gas and it won't and it just sits there and it won't go anywhere. Like you control your speed by the brake and letting off the gas and brake and let it and gas and let it. So it's totally different even driving experience than what you would drive on like a normal car. It's kind of hard to figure out because your whole life you hit the gas. Then if you want to start to slow down a little bit, you let off the gas, completely, and then you use the brake if you need to start to slow down. Like, I mean, that is not how this works, right? Like it is
Right.
completely different. So even that, and then the entire car is basically a piece of software. So like my dad was playing around with everything. He's like, this is incredible. He was like, the outside of it isn't really anything to look at, but it's the driving experience. All the things in there are so well thought out and well planned and well designed. It's so unique and different beyond anything else that is out there. Like when you go drive another car, it's just another car. Like if I went to go look at a BMW right now and got a brand new BMW, it would just be buying a new W. This is a whole different animal. This is like Trader Joe's versus Kroger.
And I think that's the thing that separates the Elon, because I think he doesn't want to build something that looks the same. That's why it stands out so much, right? Versus, hey, I want to go and do the same thing that everybody else does, and the same kind of doors, the same kind. You know how like some of these cars that have these wings, whatever, they put the wings in there. It doesn't matter if whether it's better or not, as long as it's different.
Well, they have wings on the X model to Tesla, the biggest Tesla version they have for the. But yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting car. Actually, I think that's a really good transition point. Where I'm going with all this stuff is, Joe Colombo, whatever his name was, the guy from Trader Joe's, spent a lot of time studying the source code. He thought this reflection was about like, after the atomic blast in my own life, like I could have jumped right back into the red bloody oceans, I guess, if you wanted to, and just tried to keep swimming. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy that Amelia and I spent some time just thinking and learning more about who we are and what we wanted to be and how we wanted to live our life. It wasn't by design. It wasn't on purpose. I don't know how exactly it happened. And then ultimately we ended up running into you. And then all this other stuff started to happen over the next few years of life. Right. But at the end of the day, like, it was that time and still ongoing time of intentional thought and design as to what you want to do in life that makes you think differently and to start to see the underlying source code behind why you do what you do and why other people do what they do and why these things have been designed the way they've been designed. And then you can start to think differently and you can start to redesign it from the ground up. And that's what we've done in a lot of ways in this whole entire journey. And what we're trying to do with Club as well. We're looking at the source code of what it takes for humans to be happy. And we're trying to understand what are the components of this. And if we could take the knowledge that we have and then go redesign a culture and an environment, entity, an organization, a culture that incorporates that, like, what would that look like? We don't want to do what everybody else is doing. We're not trying to start a business. We're not trying to start other shit in this world, right? That's just another competition to something else. We're trying to start something where we can do exactly what Joe did, right? Where it's like we saw what people really want, like, and because it was what we wanted. Like, we learned what we really wanted and took the time to think it out. Like, it's been 3 years now. I mean, as of a month ago, right? Like, that you and I have been studying, like, basically. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Like, we've been thinking, talking, studying, and trying to find what that stuff is and identifying these underlying source code principles to how life works and how humanity works and how we interact with each other and what makes us happy and what makes us fulfilled and what doesn't make us fulfilled. And we've slowly started to build that back up into something that is becoming like a Trader Joe's, kind of thing where you look back and you're going to go, it just feels natural. It feels right. But that wasn't by accident. It was through spending time not looking at everybody else and just figuring out what really matters. Like, what is this really about? And trying to design it with that in mind. I think that matters. I mean, personally, I don't know about you, but I think that really fucking matters. Like, anybody can jump into the bloody competition just trying to be a business owner. We're not trying to be business owners. Like, I mean, that's really not what we're trying to do at all. We're trying to help people and we're trying to help ourselves in the process, like, of helping other people. And like, that's what matters. Love to hear your thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely think it matters because that's the only thing that matters. Because in life, it's about trying to build values and build values. Value is subjective. What I need is what I need. It's not what the same thing as what you need. So we have been doing the things that we need to understand for ourselves to figure out what is our value. How do I value something? And we are the Trader Joe's of, I don't know what you want to call it. Because the thing is, we don't.
It's not even a category.
We don't belong into a category, exactly, because is it a business? Is it a nonprofit? Is it an organization?
Is it a religion?
Is it a religion? Is it So for ourselves, like, we belong to our own category, and that's the thing, right? And I think it makes a lot of sense.
Trader Joe's is its own category in the food space, and honestly, like, is there anything else that's like that?
No. I've seen it because, like, you talking about Whole Food or Sprouts, right? Or you talking about some of these like Central Market, whatever. They don't give the same vibe. I don't know what it is, but they don't give the same vibe. Because the thing is, you look at the Whole Food, you look at the Sprouts, you look at the Central Market, and whatever other boutique one, they resemble very, very closely to each other. Because I think what they do is, instead of studying what actually people need as value, they go and they say, well, what does Whole Food does? What does Central Market does? And they do go and they start implementing some of these things. And when you walk through the store, it feels very, very similar. And in a way, it feels disconnected. I can't really explain to you how it feels because it's just a feeling that I get, right? So when I go into the Trader Joe, it feels different. I mean, like I said, they don't have everything you need, right? So, but at the same time, you still want to go. It's just one of those things like, well, they don't have everything you need and they have limited quantities of certain things, but sometimes we still want to go because, it just feels different. It feels like you're in the garden of sorts. And,
Right.
and so the other places feel like you're in a building, and so to me, if you find the actual compatible value, because what is valuable to this person, what is valuable to human beings, this is the reason why we keep going back to fundamentals. What do we need? What is the basic necessity? What is the, like I say, core values? When we talk about core values, say, well, what is it that is how highly in regards to your life as you as a person? What it is that you need more than anything else? This is what
Right.
we mean by core value. We go back to the fundamental of human being. We have to be who we need to be, who we are supposed to be, not who we want to be or who we are told to be. I can say, hey, Chris, you can be this person or that person, right? Because somebody can come to me, hey, True, you're this person. Hey, you could be a doctor. Well, I don't want to be a doctor, right? It's because I don't have that particular skill set or talent. I just
Mhm.
can't be because someone else say I could. And
Right.
so to me, the value comes from the individual. The value comes from studying the whole general species, right? And figuring out what are the
And the
funda
universe and the other
universe.
species and like anything you can study everything that you get your fucking hands on, never stop learning because it'll always continue to inform and grow who we
And I
are.
think that's what we've been doing for the past 3 years is we are
Right.
studying the tendencies of humanity. That's why we love the book, Happiness Hypothesis, because it talks about the primitive instincts of human. We're talking about the thinking fast and slow,
So we're talking
sapiens,
about,
right? These are
sapiens,
human
nudge, yeah.
instincts, what we are drawn to. And so when
Right.
we are looking at these fundamentals, these are, like you say, the source code, figuring
Mhm.
out what is the source code and build things based on that versus, okay, let's go say, oh, what does Tony Robbins do? What does,
Right.
you know,
What's
Darren
Darren Hardy
Hardy
do?
do?
Right.
What
Yeah.
does, some of these guru does?
Right.
One thing is they have their own niche, right? And if I do what they do, I become just like them. If I
Right.
follow them,
But
then
they're
I'm
just
always behind
fighting.
them.
They're a bloody competition fight for what they're doing. Like, I mean, they're all scrapping to honestly to dupe some dipshit to give them like, Darren has been pissing me off. Like, I still do my Darren Hardy every single day, but he's been pissing me off for the past like 3 weeks. I feel like he's trying to pitch his business masters class to entrepreneurs. It's going to change their life. Every day it's different. Like, here's why we need to talk. Today was like, here's why we need to talk about AI. Like, come to my business master's class. Here's why AI is important. Today was about A players, like why it's so hard to, why A players want different things and why it's so hard to attract them. Like this is really important. You should come to my business master's class and we can talk about it. It's been like this for the past 3 weeks. I told Felicia this earlier today. I was like, if your goal is to help people to become the best, like he says it every day, be better every day, right? Like, and that's what his goal is to be better every day. If your goal truly is just to, and the secrets, and all the answers that you can go help people, that you tell everybody this is going to change their life, and you put little promo videos on there of people, customer testimonials and blah blah blah. I clicked on one of those business masterclass things just to find out, is this what how much is this? It was $8,000 and it's like $700 or something like that a month, for like a course of a year for you to belong to this business masters class, series. And immediately I was like, what the fuck? I was like, if you really want to help me, wouldn't you just say, hey, give me, you don't have to give me anything. But at worst case scenario, say, I'm going to help you, Chris. I think I have the answers. And I think that I know how I can help you to get A players and to deal with this new AI stuff. And like, you just come to the seminar. I'll put a whole lot of work into this. And, if it helps your business, figure out how you want to compensate me for that. Like, I don't know, you can tithe me 10% or whatever of your guys' revenue that you increase off of this. I don't give a shit.
I guarantee you, this is the way human works. You give me something that I can build, I can use, I can better my life. The
Pay you.
next thing. No,
Yeah.
I don't need to pay you for that. I don't even need to pay me for that. I just will have the next thing. You will come to me and say, well,
Oh,
this works really great, right? I need the next thing. What
right.
you got?
Right.
And I say, well, I can only do these things because my time is limited and this is a mass, right? It's mass work that I can do without having to decrease. But if I were to carve a custom owl with you, it's gonna cost you $1 million. And I make $10 million, I will give it to you $1 million. I will give you $1 million for it. So that's the thing is, you think about it, there is so much value on the back end, on the tail end of it.
You can
You,
ride
so
that
you
forever.
should think about
That's
it.
my point.
But if you go and you just force feed some nuggets of a bunch of like really good saying, but doesn't mean anything because there's so much behind it that you never say, and then you start pitching in and start blasting all these math. I mean, everybody's having master class today. Say, what the hell does that
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah, right, exactly.
And
What
you charge
does
like
that mean?
18,000, sometimes $20,000 for like a week or 3 days. Like
What?
Tony Robbins charged like the
I
3 days
know.
for $10,000 for this mass, and people go in there. It's like this is like the next best thing.
Cult.
But this guy comes out and they can do shit with it. So because it's just mumbo jumbo. If they go in there and they pump up the music and blah,
Right.
and people get into the moment, but after you go home, they didn't do anything.
Once again,
Because if I keep giving you, Chris, Beaver must damn, run
right.
down here, blah blah blah, right? You say, well, it's great,
I
great,
get it. I get it. I get
and
it.
then you go home and say, what the fuck is it Beaver must damn means? You
Yeah.
can't
What do
use
I
any
do
of
with
it,
this? Yeah. What do I
right? Because
do
you don't
every
really
day?
understand it.
Right.
That's my point. Is
You can't understand
you
something
can
that's
spill a
reused.
bunch of proverb, whatever it is, start with why, right?
Right.
But you understand the meaning behind the why. You long tail. You can do the long tail. Amazon does the long tail. You do the long
Right.
tail. Blah blah blah. Right. But then when you get out of it, you don't have anything. It's just a shell.
Yep.
But it's just a trigger point. It's
Right.
not everything. You and I can say don't run for train. To me, don't run for train. It is deep in my heart. I practice that every day.
Right.
But it's just a trigger spot. It cannot.
A whole lot of learnings and conversations that went into that, and retraining of your
Exactly.
elephants that went into
And we
that
talk about the
making sense.
elephant, right? We're
Right.
talking
Right.
about
Right.
the elephant over, and I said the elephant and rider. You and I keep talking about elephant and rider. I guarantee you, even if we talk to somebody for a whole day, they still don't know what elephant and rider
Oh,
means.
they would have no idea. I mean, this is why we mentor people, and this is why we do. I've been working with my team for a year on this stuff, and it's taken a lot of them many months to finally go, oh, I get it. And it's like they have this like aha moment where they start to own it themselves, and they figure it out, and they start to like whatever, right? Like I'm like when we've mentored people, it's been like you've seen the light bulb come on like in their own head, and they're like, oh, like
Yeah,
I
because that's
understand.
the
And
thing is,
like,
you think you have to formula. Like I can say, hey, there's this great formula. I'm going to use it again.
right.
E equal MC squared. Okay, this is great. E is formula. I'm going to take it home. When you
Yeah.
get it home, say, what the fuck is E? What the hell is C? Okay,
Right.
okay. E is energy. Oh, C is speed light. Square, right? M
Cool.
is mass. Okay,
What do
I
I
can
do with this?
identify. Well, how the fuck do I put it in real life? How do I square the
Right.
speed of light?
You want the Club Any Masterclass? Focus on your values.
And so
Walk
that's what
away.
I'm saying is, that's what people is. They just taking these shell points and they go home and they can't do anything because they don't really understand.
They don't
Like you
understand.
and I were saying here, you don't understand what you don't understand, and
Well, understand versus mastery. Take like the Nassim Taleb quote, right? Anybody can understand something. It takes a master to write it.
right. But if you can't use it,
Yeah. I mean, to comprehend something and to make it a part of your being takes a lot of time and effort and problem solving and implementation in your own life. Like that, I mean, that in trial and error. And like Tony Robbins, some of those people may take a lesson from there and they may go apply it to their life. And maybe in 6 months later, a year later, 2 years, 5 years down the road, they may be able to go, oh yeah, Beaver must dam. I've been living that for 7 years now or whatever. Get it, right? But it's very rare. If I'm Tony Robbins, I would rather give everybody the message of focus on your values, tell them why, and then say, I'm giving you this for free, and I'm willing to work with anybody that wants to try to figure out what does that actually mean and how they apply it to their life. And from there, we'll figure out we all exchange value out of this, right? I don't really give a shit. I'm not really worried about that because I haven't given you any value. All I've given you is a couple fucking words to say, focus on your values. Like, that's all that I've given you. Like, that means way more to me. That means that it's like opening up 10,000 doors in my head and all of my memory palace, going down to every single room where opening up the Secret Life of Groceries, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, like all these things. For me, it's almost mind blowing, honestly, when I think about all of these conversations that you and I have had and these books that I've read and written and reflected about and the stuff that we've incorporated into our life. I can say this stuff offhand when I'm coaching my team every single day, when I'm having one-on-ones with them and stuff. This just flows out of me all day long of exactly what I mean by this. And I see it from them and I get to coach them and I get to spark thoughts in their head. And then I get to see them start to slowly work on these things. And then when they come back, I give them another little tiny thought and a little nugget. And because I'm getting more and more nuggets still, right? It's not like my nuggets just stopped, because that's not how this works. Amelia and I are going to be doing this forever. You and I will be doing this for forever, whether we do it together or whether we don't. I have a feeling you'll probably still be doing this for forever as well, in some way, shape, or form.
If it's part of who you are, you're not going to stop. I mean,
Right.
it's not like, hey, I went to the Olympic, now I'm going to stop. I'm not going to swim anymore, right? So if you do something for a goal, meaning that to get to a certain destination, that isn't your core value. Your core value is something else. Maybe it's challenge or competitions or whatever it is. It's different. You have to exactly focus rightfully on your core values versus the thing that you think something is hard to distinguish between the two. And I think that's the reason why it's difficult for people to take the leap and understand that, hey, when this guy talk about the wonderful trains, this guy talking about the elephants and the rider, they're talking about system 1, system 2. Sometimes you're not ready to take that new knowledge. You and I can talk about the 1,000-day turkey. You and I can talk about the black swan. But if you don't have the fundamental to comprehend the next thing, that new knowledge will actually be detrimental to you. Because if you think about the black swan, for example, right? If you say, well, if everything is, random, why the shit do I suffer all this
why
for?
do anything? Yeah.
And so that's the thing is without the neck, you need to have the rung of the ladder properly, place. You can't just skip and just go from the first rung to the 13th rung, whatever like that. And so that's the thing is, having the foundation is important, but the foundation comes from the fundamental, which is who you are as a person that you need to be, because you are already born, you already have a certain patterns of genes and DNA that make who you are. That person is the person you need to express. And that
source material
is what you need to go and look at. That's the source material. That is the original source code
of your walking, living person and how you think and go about life. There is some source code to that for sure. And you can keep just diving into whatever next pool you want to dive into and figuring out how to swim, or you can figure out which pool, go swim in the right pool, or go create your own fucking pool. That's the key to it all. I mean, in my personal opinion. Then again, I don't know anything, because that's one of the source codes as well, is make sure that you remember you don't know shit, because you really don't. And I know that I don't either.
Anyway, but the point is, it's better than go look for something else, because when you look for something else, the chances are that it's going to match who you are as a person is very, very low. Right? I mean, you say, well, can you guarantee me
impossible
that it's going to work? Well, I can't guarantee you, but I guarantee you that it won't work if you look for something else. You look for that person to be, hey, I want to be like that person. Because that person is that person, not you. So I cannot guarantee you whether you can find your own core value and be this person that you want to be, but I can guarantee you that you won't if you follow someone else. I mean, think about it.
I mean, I think you're spot on with that. All right. I think we gotta let's put a pin on that. That was fun as always. We spent an hour talking about not this, but sort of this. So, but that was fun either way.
It's okay. This is part of the YOML podcast. It doesn't have to be, particularly this book per se.
We were kind of talking.
We did.
Yeah, right. It was me, but that's all right. That's what we always do. All right. So the question we can leave with everybody is: are you taking the time to study your own life and understand what makes you happy? I think that's study the source code of your own life is the point, right? And keep it up. See what happens. See what you learn. And we'll be here to try to help you find the way. If you have any questions or you want to coach, let us know. Thanks for joining, and we will see you all tomorrow night.
Sounds good. See you.